Okay. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Friday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo, and for our first 30 minutes of the show, it's me and the Queen, attorney Vanessa Moss. How you doing?
I am doing just great. Good evening. Good evening. Listen. Good evening to all of you that are watching Detroit in Black and White, and all of you that are going to join Detroit in Black and White, our Friday evenings edition. You guys already know what we want you to do. We want you to hit that like button. We want you to subscribe, and you know how much it costs to subscribe to Detroit in Black and White? It's free and share. You can catch us on all social media platforms. If you want to participate, guess what? You can participate by making the comments in the comment section, but you can also use your phone. You can use your phone, you can use the camera, and you could come on into the room. Thank you so much for watching Detroit in Black and White. I will give a shout out to there's some people who joined pretty early. Derek Henry, Karen Winston, 634. She said she liked my braids. Girl, I don't have no braids. uh,
Okay.
and Mr. 1213. Good evening, good evening, good evening for all of you guys that have joined us so far in Detroit Black and White. We and I want to say good evening to those that are joining us on Facebook.
Well, you wanted to do a tribute to African American History Week is second to the last day. Why don't you do it in the
So
beginning?
yeah, I'm
Before
gonna do mine. It's personal. I want to give a tribute to both women that have had a major impact on my life. That would be Kathy, formerly Kathy Moss Williams. That would be my mother. She was a champion of Vanessa. She was a strong woman.
it
Unfortunately,
sure was.
yeah, unfortunately, she's not here, but she was I mean, she supported me in every single endeavor and
She's
was
still here.
always encouraging. She was like, hey, don't worry about it. You can handle it. I also want to give a shout out and a tribute to my grandmother. A lot of us have families who, as we say in the church, to stand in the gap. But my grandmother was a very strong woman, very encouraging. I remember when I was living with her, and she said, listen, don't worry about having anything to wear to your high school graduation. If you have to cross that stage with a sheet, you're going to do it. When I graduated from Wayne State University, she was there sitting in the front row, cheering me on, more excited than my mother was because her grandbaby, her granddaughter, and I'm not the only granddaughter, but she and I had such a wonderful, very close relationship. I want to give a shout out to her. This is a woman who did back in the day what they call day work. She did day work and she sold Avon. And then eventually she got a job working at General Motors as a maintenance engineer. That's what we call them today. But she worked in uh, as a janitor for General Motors, and she and my grandfather raised all five of their children, and she pitched in and helped raise some grandchildren. So, and I was fortunate to have her. So, tribute to two wonderful, strong women.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
My grandmother's name, Violet Essie Beatty.
Okay, so our guest that's coming on, I met him uh, in here in Detroit, and we worked briefly together for the Honorable Barbara Rose Collins. That's another person that we should pay tribute to. The Congresswoman, ex-Congresswoman, and City Council person uh, who made an impact in the state and in Detroit. It was one of her bills in Lansing that made it possible to put dates on food. You know, when you look and go into the grocery store, every time I do and look for some meat,
Mhm.
I think of Barbara Rose Collins. Okay. Our guest tonight is a candidate for the state Senate. Name is Korey Hall. Korey, what district are you running in?
Well, first of all, good evening, Mr. Mongo. Good evening, Ms. Moss. I'm running. My name again is Korey Hall. I'm running for Michigan's 3rd district, which comprises the east side of the city of Detroit. It starts at the Grosse Pointe line on the east, 8 Mile Road on the north. It goes far west as Livernois. It includes Highland Park and Hamtramck, and then all the way down to the river.
Listen, our one of our co-hosts is impressed. Jim, who's won't come on until 9 o'clock, says you work for a lot of folks, man. He's impressed by your resume, and you have. Well, we worked together briefly with Bob Rose Collins when I went to lunch and never came back.
I wasn't going to tell that story, Adolph.
Well,
Adolph
why
was
don't
my
you tell
boss.
a story? Tell a story.
No, I can't tell the whole story. I'll tell part of it. Well, I came in. Adolph was my boss for, I think, about 30 minutes. So I came in and he came out of meeting. He said, I'm going to lunch. And then I didn't see Adolph anymore, y'all. So, but Adolph has always been a mentor to me, and he stayed close to Congresswoman Collins, who was a great mentor to me. And you stole my thunder. I was going to talk about the food dating piece, Adolph, and she taught me a great number of political themes that I still live by to this day. And so for my Black History Month moment, I would acknowledge our late Congresswoman Barbara Rose Collins.
Well, why are you running? Why you think you the best candidate in this race? What we got about Vanessa? You said we had about 6 folks in this.
Yes. Before I answer this question, I believe in transparency. Korey and I have met each other on the campaign trail. We've been campaigning for some months. We've been low key, and Korey is a wonderful person. I found out last weekend after he and I talked at the 13th Congressional District meeting. I found out thereafter that the race is full of people. That one of our former guests, that would be Adam Hollier, he's in the race. I also found out that John Conyers is in the race. I mean, it is super crazy. A young lady named Ebony, and I told Korey, I said, listen, I believe in transparency and I believe in being loyal. So I told him what I did with the candidate that I went to his fundraiser, and I told Korey, because you know what, a lot of people I find in this political field, 1, are not authentic, 2, are not transparent and honest, and 3, they're not loyal. Well, I'm all 3. I believe in being transparent. I tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you don't want to hear. I am honest and I'm loyal. So I met Korey, and I found out it's 6 of you guys, right, Korey?
There are actually 8.
Damn. I missed you. That's
so
crazy.
It's an open seat, and that's what happens. This is through the redistricting lawsuit. This is a new 3rd district. It was formerly comprised of part Stephanie Chang, part Erica Geis, and part Mallory McMorrow. And now it's been consolidated to represent the city of Detroit proper and Highland Park and Hamtramck. And, you asked me what makes me want to run for this seat. I told the story, and Adolph, I think you've heard this before, what even made me get into this area of work and wanting to give back was there was a time in my life where I wanted to go to law schools, a time in my life I wanted to be an actor and all of that. But, there was a felony police stop that was done when I was on my way home from work while I was a college student. And I won't mention the municipality. However, the police officers in that municipality did that same felony stop twice in the same week on me, telling me my car was stolen. And I decided that, there needs to be something that happened. And then I did some study, and I realized that, there are a certain number of people, a finite number of people who affect, and their decisions affect the vast majority of us and how we live and how successful we are in our endeavors in all capacities in life. And I decided I wanted to be part of that decision-making process rather than get the results of those decisions. And so I got a stack of resumes, and I went up to the state house and I just walked around and asked folks for jobs. And I ended up getting a job in 1992 and 93 as an assistant to the clerk of the house. And as I was going through that position, I happened to meet then Congresswoman Barbara Rose Collins. And I love telling this story because I was in the back elevator and she got in and I asked her for a job. And she said, "Why should I hire you?" And by the fourth floor, I was thinking about how I was packing my stuff up and moving back to the city of Detroit and working on the east side. And so when I tell folks have an elevator speech ready, because you never know when you need to use it. But going forward past that, I went on to work after Congresswoman Barbara Rose Collins. I went on to get my master's degree from the City University of New York in policy and administration. Came back to work for the Wayne County Commission and the Wayne County Executive, Ed McNamara. Left there, went to go work for Detroit City Council with Kay Everett. Left Councilwoman Everett, went to go work for the NAACP as a policy director and community outreach. Left then, went to go work for Senator Debbie Stabenow for 10 years. Left Senator Stabenow. And all these are in good graces, y'all. Just want you to know. To go work for the Heat and Warmth Fund, where I help establish new criteria and better criteria for those that get energy assistance and things of that nature, and helped formulate the now GLEWA water assistance program. And then I went back to go work for Senator Stabenow on the political side, and then worked for Gary Peters as his political director, and then found myself with Governor Whitmer as the director of community affairs, and then later on as a senior advisor. And I say all that to say that in the back of my mind, I always wanted to lead, and I thought leading, there are different ways and different capacities you can lead and put your efforts into bringing resources back to the city of Detroit, and I did all of that. But I also found that the way that you lead is to lead. Mm-hmm. And now that I see this opportunity to put my foot out and step through that threshold and tell folks to vote for me, because I can, all the things that I did in the background, now I can do in the sunlight, and people can see and have seen the work that I put in the past, and now I can do it in the front. And so I'm not saying that what I can do for you, I'm not saying what I will do for you. I can tell you what I've done for you. Mm-hmm. And then moving forward, how we can move together with representation for the city of Detroit. We don't have to ask other municipalities before we do something for the city of Detroit. They should be asking what the city of Detroit thinks and how we empower ourselves, and we should be able to do that with no apologies.
Well, what else do you bring to the table? Folks say, well, you've been a political person forever, and but that's what it takes. I think you got the inside track as somebody that knows how the system work. What are some of the issues in the third district that an elected official that you can tackle?
So let me say this. So the third district, in my opinion, and from the data that we've seen, is a microcosm of the state of Michigan. When you talk about the issues on the Lower East Side with water infrastructure and the seawall issue that they have, you talk about on the far west side of the district, you talk about business development, you talk about access to health care in the middle of the district, access to health care, access to being in child care. You look at all these different issues and I'm thinking that there are remedies that we can tackle, remedies that we have that are in place, just a little bit outside the box thinking, that can address these issues so that we can move forward and increase the lifestyle of the folks that live in the third district and the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan, for that fact, because as go the city of Detroit, as goes the state of Michigan.
Yeah, the average resident in Detroit don't know who represent them as a county commission, don't know who's the state rep, and they really don't know who's the state senator. But I have to give and I've been a big critic of hers, Stephanie Chang, but I give her credit. She's been out there. But we need somebody that's not only going to be out there, but that's going to make a difference. You know.
So let me say this, Adolph. You know, the most important thing that you can do in our state legislature is vote. Correct? That's the most important thing. That's why we're there to vote. But there are two other things. One, you got to bring resources back to your community. And then number two is advocacy. The most important decisions that affect us in our lives are made with us not in the room. Right. On a very simple note, when you go to get a mortgage, you're not in the room when that mortgage is approved or denied. Just simple like that. You're not in the room when that car note, when you're going to buy a car. We're not in the room when these decisions that affect us are made. We need advocates. We need someone that will go in there and advocate for the city of Detroit and the 3rd District so that they can bring resources back home, period. And I say that with no apologies.
And that is correct, because when I think of a person like Coleman Young, he was a state rep, the father, Coleman Young. He was one of the forces behind arbitration for the police department because they went on strike. Or our person, Barbara Rose Collins, who went up to Lansing and as a state rep pushed that bill that forced the state to put dates on food. This is the kind of elected official that we need. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay, so we have a viewer, Korey told, first of all, it's been a long time no see. We saw each other earlier today campaigning. But at any rate, Miss Sheila says, we see who's who, I guess. Now tell us what and how you would improve what prior people lacked to do. So she's saying, what can you do for us now? There are people that preceded you that do some things. And what is it? What is your plan?
So I'll give you an example. I'll give you 2 or 3 examples. We'll talk about access to healthcare and how access to healthcare and how it is an issue. And I'm going to speak specifically to mental health. We know that we're overrepresented with individuals that may have behavioral and or mental health issues with some type of dual diagnosis or dependency, especially with some of our African-American youth. And we look at the ages from maybe 16 to 22. When there's an issue at the home, we'll say it's an issue at the home, and that individual young man or young woman may seem like they're uncontrollable. The first thing folks want to do is call the police to try to mitigate or mediate that situation. What I would say is, and what I've talked about is a behavioral health urgent care center. And I know, and they exist in other states. And this is a center where an individual that has the credentials that can come in and help mediate that issue and possibly and most likely bring it down and bring it down from a boiling point so that the situation can be calmed before police is called. Now, if the police need to be called, they need to be called. But there's an intermediary step that can mediate that situation before police called, someone goes to jail or someone gets hurt. And we need to think about steps like those. We need to think about how do we increase the criminal violence innovation dollars to help and go to youth programs, and so that they can take advantage of those dollars and expand the programming that they have. And we know that it works because it's been proven that it works in the last 2 years. And I would mention that I had a great deal of part to do with getting those criminal violent intervention dollars down to the block level in the city of Detroit and the other urban centers. But those CVI dollars can be used in a myriad of ways to help our youth in conjunction with things like this behavioral health intervention urgent care center to help bring down crime and help these folks that have issues that are healthcare and potentially sending kids to jail.
Well, we have another question. One of our viewers, Stephanie Jackson, says, "What will you do about the better quality food in grocery stores and routine inspection or enact laws to regulate the quality of food?" And I'm going to add to that, in Detroit, because you'll be representing Detroit, Detroit is basically a food desert. What are some of your ideas to bring it from being a desert to a place where people can go in their neighborhood to a grocery store
So
instead of all these liquor stores?
So let me say this. Let me say this. There are the vast majorities of these small grocery stores and some of these larger grocery stores that are not the chains they are owned by individuals that are other nationalities. Correct? We'll say the Arab and Chaldean population. I've talked to them, and we've talked about how do we engage and have the same language, because oftentimes we don't have the same language when we talk to each other, and about incubator programs in which African-American entrepreneurs who want to get into food and grocery business can learn from them, and they start new ventures together, African-American and Arab Chaldean, and have joint ventures to create new grocery markets in the state of Michigan, or in the city of Detroit, I should say, especially in the 3rd District. They're willing to do it. I know that there are African-American organizations that are willing to do it. We just need to come together and figure out how to get that done in a way that makes sure that we have very safe and clean grocery stores in and around the 3rd District of the city of Detroit, and the city of Detroit for that matter. I know that both sides are willing to talk. We just need to bring folks together so that we have the same vocabulary. We're talking about the same thing, because if you don't talk well together, you will not work well together.
You know what? We're at 8:52. We have not taken a break. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with our guest, Korey Hall, on Friday night's edition of Detroit in Black and White.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
So why don't you read some more questions, Vanessa?
I will. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's watching. I'll name those people, and then you have a couple of questions here. First of all, Janet, thank you so much. Janet Overall, who liked and shared. Felicia Dean, what's up, fam? Stephanie Jackson, Tamika Rainey, Karen Winston, Derek Henry. We also have, Miss Sheila, who did ask the question about how are you going to help vulnerable people, the vulnerable population. Queen Bee, she made a point, and I want to find that point, but basically she said, dang, all those people in the race, I mean, that's, give your opinion as to, she says, I'm going to say, she says, show. I think you can read it. All these people who know they are going to lose. And I'm not talking about Mr. Hall. Run and split the vote and keep us in the same position. She put same in capitalized letters. Good evening, Tracy Huff. Cashmere Moreau, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. She gave me a compliment. Michael Bunch, He joins us all the time. Mike Bunch, thank you so much. He said, hello, everyone. We also have with our Dewayla Boyce. What's up, D-Love? She says, hey, y'all. She put a heart in the comments. Stephanie was talking about the grocery stores and how seedless fruit and things like that is not real. Ms. Sheila says, people say the green light gas stations are more organized, dangerous if you're not from the neighborhood. So those are the comments.
Well, Korey,
Excuse
how
me.
did we get people to engage in voting and stuff? And folks, and I look at it when you got 6 people in a race. It used to be a time where you had a political machine that filtered out some of these folks and said, "Don't waste your time." But we all know this is the day, and people run. They have a right to run. But what makes you so different that you can go into a neighborhood and people that says, I think I'm gonna vote this time, because they ain't voting. You know that 10-15% of people in Detroit don't vote.
So we know, and I think you know, Adolph, that if you encourage someone to vote, get them registered to vote between the age of 18 and 20, and they go and vote the first time they registered, they vote for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that we vote for 3 reasons: something to gain, something to lose, or out of tradition. Those are the 3 reasons we vote: something to gain, something to lose, or out of tradition.
Well, I know I voted because my mother used to take me with her,
Tradition.
and I sit in the chair and watch her go in the machine. And then I asked her, "Who do you vote?" She said, "That's me." And you don't tell people who you vote. That's our right to vote. And I couldn't wait to vote, but I always told people I voted. First time I voted when I was 18. I voted for Governor Milliken. I voted for John Anderson, who was independent, ran for president because I didn't like McGovern. He was full of shit. I voted for I split. I was in Ann Arbor. I voted the Human Rights Party, Democrats, and stuff. And Myron Walls ran for Attorney General against Frank Kelly, and I said I'm voting for him because I hadn't heard of Myron Walls. He was a hell of an attorney, and he was gonna lose. Frank Kelly just was gonna win, but after he ran and lost for the GOP, Milliken appointed him to the Court of Appeals. First African American to sit on that court. So yeah, we need parents to give their kids.
We need parents to vote. And you asked me, well, what would make them, and how could I turn out to vote? Well, I'm gonna, as we go out in every community, as we go out and knock on doors, as we go out and talk to seniors, as we go out and talk to folks and get them registered to vote, they're going to realize after I talk to them that they have something to gain. They're going to realize if they don't, they got something to lose.
Well, there's no question about it. Let me ask you this. Go ahead, Vanessa, then I'll ask them the question.
You guys are talking about engaging folks to vote. We know that the young folks, and they're not so young anymore, but young folks are not engaged. Young folks are not voting. They're not like Adolph's generation or my generation. I couldn't wait. When I turned 18, I was excited to vote. But you and I have been out here. We've all been out here. Adolph sees it. These young folks are not engaged. So how do you think will make a difference in terms of this next election?
Well, I think we know that the hip hop arena folks manage and they watch that. We know that through social media that our young folks are watching that, and TikTok and all of that. I don't even know all of the media streams anymore, but we know that they follow that. And so we need to, we need to have those individuals help us get folks energized about voting. I mean, it's it was a shame last presidential election. I'm walking around and people did not even know it was election day. I'm talking to the young folks, and in my mind, I'm thinking everybody knows, but I forget that we're in a bubble, and that's all that we talk about. But that's not what everyone else is talking about, because this man that we're talking about voting is worried about the oil leak he got in his garage and how to get that car fixed. So we need to be able to take these ideals that we have and take these legislative promises and policy promises that we have and be able to get it down to the block level and get these folks to understand how that decision translates to the everyday decisions that they're making for their benefit or to their detriment. And
we used to have mock elections in high schools and colleges and all this. How do you bring that back?
Adolph, I don't know. That's something we can discuss, and let's talk about that at the next. I'm going to think about that, and we could talk about that the next time I'm on your show. I think that there are a lot of things that we did in high school that aren't done anymore, and I think part of that's because of funding. Actually, to be honest with you, I think that we I remember being part of forensics and going into student government and making making the semis, and then we traveled down at spring break and we were competing like student Congress. I remember doing those things.
And I remember that when I ran for student mayor at Oak Park and won. And first African American, when they allowed us, because we was bused into the schools, they allowed us to participate in student government. And you know what? It was exciting.
Right.
I got elected. And people vote.
I was so excited. I come to find out, my son, my oldest son, Bryce Hall, never even said anything to me. He ran for class president and then ran for student body president at his high school and won. And I didn't even know. He didn't even tell me. But I was his mom and I were sitting there like, you did what? Why didn't you say anything? And I was so excited for him. And I was so excited actually for myself, because it was obvious that he had picked up the bug, because he was watching what his parent was doing. And he liked it. And so a lot of it is on us too as parents to try to instill those values into our children.
Well, we have another question from one of our co-hosts. And listen, we've already told you, if you want to come on into the room, you can come into the room. Just use your phone to come on in and have the conversation with us here on Detroit in Black and White. But Jill Sheridan, good evening. She says, will you be able to, in discussions with finance people, get them to invest in new business people who will try to open grocery stores? And then she says, also, why did community gardens fall to the wayside?
So I'll answer that. I'll answer both those questions. So yes, I will be able to have discussion. One of the things that I was talking to when we were talking about having the same definition and using the same vocabulary is that we were talking about the Innovation Fund, Small Business Innovation Fund, and how do we expand that to include new entrepreneurs who want to take an entrepreneur who has one person or two person. How do we take the Innovation Fund and use those dollars in a streamlined process and get a business that has one employee and get them to 5? How do we take and get them from 5 employees, a business that have 5 employees, and get them to 10? And, it's through technical assistance, it's through grant projects and programs, and it's through government contracts. And we need, again, through that, we need to advocate. We need someone to advocate for those. And those are conversations that I had when I was working with Governor Whitmer as an advisor and talking about some of the things that we can do to help the city of Detroit and our entrepreneurs that are in the city or would be entrepreneurs who just need an opportunity to get their project, their idea or their service off the ground, and how can we help them? And then secondarily, I would say this. I think that we also need to change the state's definition, or maybe change some words in our legislation about what a small business actually is. Because we're talking about startups and we're talking about micro businesses. We're not talking about a business that has 200 employees and does $100 million a year, which is officially qualified as a small business. We're talking about micro businesses. Secondarily, the second question, we talk about community gardens. I can say that I worked on urban and community gardens when I was with Senator Stabenow and helped to bring dollars to the state of Michigan and to our cities with urban gardens and garden to school programs and the community gardens. A lot of those programs and dollars that were doled out were federal dollars. And so we can work, and I would love to work with you how we can reinvigorate that program on a state level. Absolutely.
Joining us is our resident law enforcement expert, Jim Nardone. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, Mr. Hall. I guess I have a question, or maybe your thoughts. It's probably not a really easy question to answer, but it seems like the Democratic Party in this state, when they want somebody in office, they don't hesitate to support that individual. We talked on this show frequently about the lieutenant governor and why he wasn't supported to be the governor. I guess I'm a little confused why when they find a good candidate, where are they now? Why aren't they coming out in some of these races and saying Korey Hall's been, dedicated to, let's go through the list. This, the governor, 2 U.S. senators, the NAA, et cetera, the heat and warmth fund. Why aren't they saying, he's our guy, y'all back off on this? Because if they want to do that, they typically don't have any problem doing that.
Well, as Adolph, Mr. Mongo stated, you can't stop folks from running. And so that's all I'll say with that.
Okay.
Okay.
The question was a lot longer than the answer.
Okay.
And then also I'll just say this, that's a little bit of I do not work for the Democratic Party. I am a Democrat, indigo blue Democrat, indigo blue. However, I will say that I don't work for the party, and I would hesitate to speak to any thought processes that the party has. But I think that the party has good leadership, and I think that decisions are being made the way that they're being made. And
I think the party fucked up, and I'm gonna tell you, when they force a person like Adam Hollier to go back from he's running for this office, and then they forced him out of running for Congress again, and he went up to the Secretary of State. They forced him out of that. Then he said, well, I got a term left. You know what? That's bullshit. You know what? You step aside. We need some new blood. You can't keep running for office. And I was glad to hear you was running, because somebody said, oh, who you supporting in that race? I said, I don't know who's running in that race. And the first name they said was Korey Hall. I said, I know Korey Hall. I said, good for Korey Hall. But yeah, I know how the party works. And I can say the party got some people that I don't agree with how they operate, but that's the way it is. And you got 8 people in the race, so you got to make sure that the people that vote know you. Now, if somebody want to get on your team and they want to give you some money or they want to volunteer, how do they get in touch with you, Korey?
So they can go to Korey Hall for Senate.com. That's my website. I have all of my material and information is on that. That's Korey Hall for Senate.com. They can call me at 313-218-1828. Again, that's 313-218-1828. Again, that's Korey Hall for Senate.com. People can go on there and that's the same as my Facebook account and Instagram. And you can go on there and say that you're standing tall with Korey Hall.
Okay, we unheard that before.
I want you to stand tall with Korey Hall. And I want you to say you're standing tall with Korey Hall.
You get the last word in this. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Nardone, I thank you for that. I thank you for that question. I would just say this. There are a number of people in the race. The support that I've garnered, that I have, has stayed steady and strong with me. There are a number, you can go and you look on my website, you'll see the level of support that I have. We are moving forward. We are moving forward strong. And we are turning the page. We're going to be out there in the streets. As soon as the weather breaks, you're going to see us all over the city of Detroit. And you're going to get tired of seeing my name because you're going to see my name 20 times, and then you're not going to forget it. And then you're going to remember Korey Hall for State Senate.
Thank you. Experience matters, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much. And just thank you. All of my support and all of the experience that I had has led me to the point, and I'm at the nexus where opportunity meets being prepared.
Thank you, Korey. We're going to have you back on, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you soon, Korey. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for coming.
Yeah, I remember when he was just a young guy. There's no question.
Still a young guy.
Yeah, I got a question for you, and maybe Jim, you could jump in there. Adolph just made a statement. He said that he thinks that the Democratic Party is full of it, and that they basically he talked about Adam and how they put him in this race and then they took him out and put him. Do you really think it was the Democratic Party? Do you guys think it was really the Democratic Party? I think it was him. Because I'm looking at who is supporting him and who's not. And I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But so where do you get that from, Adolph? Where you get that?
I get it from because he let them use him. And he moved, and he's like a vagabond. He going from race to race, and you can't do that shit. You know, he ran, he wasted all his money, and he spent all that money attacking other candidates instead of the person that they was going after. He lost. Okay, now he decided he's gonna run again for Congress. And there was discussion, said, man, why don't you not split the vote up? We got a young guy. And I know some of the people that went to him, and he said, okay, I'll run for Secretary of State. Mm-hmm. And he decided to run for Secretary of State. And when Whitmer put a poker iron, a red hot poker iron in the ass of Garland Gilchrist and made him get out of the race for governor, he stepped down and said, well, I got one term left, because he gave up his seat and Stephanie Chang won. He supported her. And when he got into the race for the state senate, she's supporting somebody else. You know, the Democrats ain't no loyal. And I'm not a Republican, and fuck the Republican Party, but I say fuck the Democratic Party on how they treat the most loyal people in that party who hell or high water vote D all the time, and they don't get shit out of it. So yeah, that was a good question, Jim. You are absolutely right, because when they used to have folks like Coleman Young and all these other folks, they used to put the pressure on people and say, get your ass out of there, because if you win, well, we're not gonna deal with you. We're gonna make your life as an elected official hell. But the bottom line is, people listen to that. The money was dried up, and they had a candidate. Now, some people say, "Oh, don't do no back door deals and all this other stuff." And I say, sometimes you got to, because this is what you got: 8 fucking people. And now we're gonna get somebody that got in that race, and if they got some money, they gonna get it, and they got a whole new agenda. It ain't about the 3rd district; it's about their agenda. Just like we got Rashida Tlaib over there, full of shit. We got Sri Canada, who only claim to fame is, I came here with $20 in my pocket. Fuck that. I don't want to hear that shit. If people can't get a hold of you, they got to call another Congress person in another district, because you're not doing your job. And that is why we had 2-3 people. They split the vote. Same way with Tlaib. And the same way when all these Democratic officials forced John Conyers, the late John Conyers, to resign, talking about he's sexually harassing women. And we know he wasn't. He had some issues, He that probably had a little dementia, but let him step down. Listen, we done had people force John Dingle out. His family forced him out, but he had his wife waiting in the wings. So they didn't miss a beat. They did not miss a beat, but we missed a beat. Well, we got some people whose agenda was the Gaza Strip, whose agenda was themselves. That's what we got.
So, Jim, what do you say to that question?
I think Adolph pretty much covered all the bases on that. I was, when I'm thinking about Aratat, I'm thinking about Aratat. I'm always thinking about Aratat. I'm thinking about Sri Tanadar. Sorry, I didn't mean to get him in the same category there. Right. I was thinking about Sri Tanadar when Adolph was talking. You come out and you support the right people and you bring the money to the right candidate. And it only seems like the Democratic Party in Michigan does that when they feel like doing it. And that's, no disrespect to any other candidate. I have a lot of respect for Adam Ollier. He went from here. He's already been a state senator, right? This gentleman's he's in the inner workings of government for the past, Adolph, 40 years, 35 years, 30, whatever, a long time. I want to say hi to our friends too. Eric, Queen Bee, thank you. Hello to you. Miss Sheila, Karen C., our friend. And Ira Todd. I had some names I was writing down. That's why I was getting sideways there. Cashmere, hello. I don't want to miss anybody.
Eric Brown.
I think I said Eric. Did I miss Eric?
Eric. Okay. So there's a few questions here. Maybe you guys can weigh in. The question is asked to Adolph, but I think all of us should be able to answer the question. The question is, should people vote party no matter what? What is your opinion?
No, because when I first voted, I split the ticket. I voted Republican, Democrat, Independent. The presidential, I voted independent. That was 1972. I voted for Governor William Milliken, who came to our little town, Royal Oak Township, and I liked him. And then I voted Democrats down party lines, and then I voted Republican for Attorney General. I made sure I learned that from my parents, who was independent, who voted and stuff. And I convinced my mother my first time I voted to tell me who she'd vote for. She said, well, I'm a Democrat. I figured that. But she voted independent in the presidential race because I kept bugging her and said, how can you vote for, we wasn't voting for Nixon, but how do you vote for McGovern, who, when he found out that his vice president choice had some issues with depression and stuff, and I guess he got some kind of treatment, and they kicked him. He was Thomas Eagleton from Missouri. They kicked him off in the ticket. I said, they ain't loyal. They ain't loyal. And today, they wouldn't blink an eye because the people on medication and stuff. Some of these politicians need some treatment. Yeah.
What about you, Jim?
I can answer that question.
You first, cannot.
Hello.
Did you say you cannot?
Stephanie, I can answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you, Miss Sheila. Thank you, Kashmir. You made my night. I love you too. I mean, we've got the best friends out here. Here's what I wasn't making the point that everybody has to vote for the Democrat and everybody has to get in line behind this gentleman. All right. All I'm saying, he has all the criteria to represent the 3rd Senate district without question. All right. He's been an insider. He's worked for 2 U.S. senators, the governor. I'm not saying that makes him the best candidate. I'm saying he has the credentials and he should be considered. And if you come out for your candidate, it looks better than just willy-nilly going, we don't really care who gets elected, because they do care who gets elected. The Democratic Party, the people, the union, whoever it is, they care who gets elected. They need to commit, and it just looks like that.
And they need to care because they only got the Senate by 1 or 2 votes, and they need somebody to come in that's gonna be friendly to them. Listen, we done had some state reps from the Democratic Party who held the Democrats hostage because they didn't agree with some of the agenda that the Democrats had. Go ahead, Vanessa.
So, and my answer to the question is, hey, Hazel Park Taekwondo, what's going on? Angela Beatty, what's going on? Stephanie say, hey, Jim. So as far as I'm concerned, and I've been consistent ever since we've been on Detroit in Black and White, I'm an independent thinker. And so if I have to pick a party, I'm going to pick the blue party. But when I go in that voting booth, I vote for individuals. I don't vote for party. I don't circle that over at the top and do straight Democrat. I don't. I do my research. I think that people owe it to themselves, to their community, to make sure that they know the individuals that they're voting for and what they stand for. And not just right before the election, they get up and, they have these speeches. Korey just talked about an elevator speech. I don't believe in canned speeches. I don't. I'm a different kind of a candidate. I talk about what's on my heart, what I truly believe in. So I think that people should vote their conscience. And their conscience should not be all R or all D, unless that's how you feel. But to me, that's the easy way out. That to me is the lazy way out.
I'm not in conflict. My position's not in conflict with that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like Adolph, I am an independent thinker. I have split my vote. And I got that from, again, my parents, my father. Hey, he will vote a certain way with certain people and a different way with other people. You know what? The issues that are before us impact us differently. There may be something that the Democrat Party stands for that you align with, and there may be something that the Republican Party stands for that you align with. So I think we owe it to ourselves. Stop being loyal to a party. Be loyal to yourself. Be loyal to your community.
And be loyal to
a party. And as far as I'm concerned, some of these parties, listen, it's like being in a bad relationship.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to be loyal to the person. And and folks are loyal to people. I remember taking my father to vote. He in his late 70s, early 80s, and he looked at the ballot. He said, "I'm only going to vote for one person." I said, "Well, you need to vote." He said, "You can tell me the other folks." He said, "I'm voting for John Peoples, who was sitting on the city council." He said, "Because I know him. I've been knowing him 40 years, and I like him." And I was saying in my mind, fuck John Peoples, because I'm not voting for him. But he was loyal to John Peoples, and he knew who he wanted. Foremost was John Peoples. So, I got that attitude because as a political consultant for a long time, I started out, I'm only going to be Democratic and all this. But then I come find out there's folks on both sides of the aisle that I like. I like that person, and I can represent them. And I got beat up sometimes. Say, why are you running that campaign? She's a Republican, and then as a judge, I said she's running for a court of appeals. I said, man, she's gonna be good up there because you got to look at her record. I said she got a great record, and I'm gonna keep representing her. So that's my take. And I represented people, ran on the Green Party, and I know they wasn't gonna win, but they made a difference because they split the vote, and that's what we wanted to do anyway. They split the vote and caused somebody to lose. That's somebody I didn't support. So. You got to do what you got to do. It ain't D and R on the local level. It shouldn't be, because you got to have people who represent you, one, that know policy, I'm glad to have Korey Hall, and we're glad to anybody else want to come on in that third district. They can come on and talk about what they can do. But I know Korey Hall has his credentials. He worked for in Congress, in the Senate, statewide government. Listen, this guy, he knows the inside. He knows where the bodies are buried at, and he knows how to deliver services to those residents in that district. And you're right, Jim. Why are we allowing 8 folks? We need somebody to come and say, as the chair of the party, say, this is who we voting for. This is who we support. Put out a slate and say who you support, and give
And
them
why?
what?
And why? I mean, this
Yes,
is not.
yes, yes,
If I misrepresented what I was trying to say, I apologize. But I did not try to say don't make your choice.
No, make your choice. Make your fucking choice. Yeah, and that's what you do. Yeah, this is what we got. We got people in parties. Well, I look at Congress. We got Republicans in Congress really don't agree with the agenda of Trump, but they so fucking scared because they figure if they got to run for re-election, they're gonna have an opponent, and and that's the way the game is played. You know that is the way the game is played, and is it right? Not all the time, but that's why you got to go out and you got to go out and vote. You know?
Great comments about loyalty, Vanessa.
You know what? And I want you guys to answer this question by our time, but they also do this. When somebody is independent enough and say, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but this is how I feel. And I'm talking about Fetterman the other day with when the president of the United States gave his State of the Union address. The people attack the guy. You either want it one way or the other. You either want an independent thinker. Listen, God did not create us all to think alike, feel alike, and be alike. I'm an individual. I got a different nose than you, Adolph, and Jim. My hair is different. I speak different. I've had different experiences. I just think it's very hypocritical when people do things like that. Having said that, you got a question up there. Says, do you all think that Duggan is going to split the vote in the next election? And I guess they're asking that because of the conversation that we're having.
Well, I think Duggan potentially can split the vote, but I think Duggan potentially could win the race. You know, I work with Duggan. I know this son of a bitch. You know, I've had my issues with him, but I know one thing. He knows how to run a campaign, and he knows how to get out there. He can raise a lot of money. We'll see, but I think he's going to have a hard time to get hardcore Democrats like my father was, that always put that D there and go independent. I'm not going to say it's happening, but if he can get some of these people out to vote in Detroit, a huge amount, he's going to get some Republicans. He's going to get people that's been independent. He's going to get some people that hadn't voted since Obama or whatever. But he's going to be a force. Go ahead, Jim.
I want to answer Ira's other question, if I could.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Adolph.
No, you get the last say.
I'll just be done here. I'll be brief, but Ira, this is what I think. I think Jocelyn Benson, was handpicked. Ryan Fredericks, who is Jocelyn Benson's husband, used to work for Mike Duggan. They're both connected. Ryan Fredericks and Jocelyn Benson are connected to Stephen Ross, the billionaire. And I think Duggan got pushed out of the Democratic position, I'll say, to become governor by the group of people, Whitmer and Stephen Ross and Ryan Fredericks, who is the husband who raised money for Mike Duggan. And Duggan went,
yeah, he did. And he did. And he looked at the tea leaves and said, he's not gonna win. Vanessa, you get the last say.
Well, I don't know. I'm hard pressed to say that I think that he will win as a governor for the state of Michigan. The reason I say that is that Adolph, you talked about your dad that is a hardcore Democrat. You and I, all of us had talked about who usually determines who's going to be in office. It's the seasoned folks. And the seasoned folks have been trained, right? Especially in Detroit, they're going to darken that oval for D unless they're trained to do something different. I just don't. I right now I can't see it. I cannot.
And I
Now,
remember
am
one of
I
my
advocating for any of the candidates? No, I'm not. I'm just saying that's how I see it.
and I'll end it here with one of my grandfather, my mother father who lived with us. He was a hardcore Republican. Because that was how, when he grew up, Republican Party looked out for black folks in certain areas, and you couldn't tell him that to vote Democrat. This is what he did. We'll be back tomorrow. Detroit in Black and White. I want to thank Korey Hall, and I want to thank all our viewers who had questions and stuff. Without this show, without your input, we wouldn't have this show. Vanessa, thank you very much, and your tribute to Black history, your grandmother and your mother. Jim Nardone, thank you, and Teresa. Without you, we wouldn't have this show. See you tomorrow. I'm Adolph Mongo, Detroit and Black and White. Allan Lengel will be back tomorrow.